Okay, am I switched on? Can you hear me all right at the back? I'm so loud you probably can hear me in car park without a microphone, so I really won't worry about it. So, my job is to follow Mixit. Every year somebody has to do that. So it's this year, it's my turn to fall on the sword and follow Mixit. And I'm also, if you like, the bookend that will put us back to time. So I'm going to rely on colleagues to move me on as required. What I wanted to talk about today were learning disability nursing in general, but also, if you like, a bit of the art and science of it. And something I've been reading recently, which is about a happy life, a formulation for living. And in reading that literature, I started to think about a formulation for learning disability nursing. And also the people that we serve and their families. As Mixit have so eloquently reminded us, we are all human, we all have the same feelings, wishes, emotions, desires. So why would it not be so? You know, timely reminder, we are a diminishing number currently. And I felt when Mixit made the point themselves, you know, about they're not putting up with this, well, I'm not putting up with this any longer. I've been around a long time, 35, this is my 35th year as a learning disability nurse. And I've, with many others, tried to raise the issue of our numbers diminishing and the need to encourage others into the profession. It is the most fantastic career. And 2 countries within the UK have increased their numbers, both Wales and Scotland. And so I think it's now time that England got on with it. We need to maximise outcomes for people with a diminishing number, and we have lots of work to do. So for me, a clarity of purpose is really important. You know, I won't work forever. I'll go on as long as I can. But as I've got nearer to the finish line of my career, I have thought about what is it that I can do in that amount of time that will achieve something and contribute something. So, for me, this idea of a formulation, and again, I think, just as an aside, that nursing formulations are much misunderstood and underutilised skill and talent of learning disability nurses. And one of my colleagues here today, Dave Atkinson, I can't see him at the minute, but he'll wax lyrical about nursing formulation. And I think it's something that, again, we need to keep raising up as something that we invest in. But this guy, Adam, studied a group of professionals, and they were Yale, people who've been educated at, you know, Yale and Ivy League universities in America. So, as he described it, people who, you know, were wealthy and privileged and, you know, to all intents and purposes had a happy life. And in having conversation with them, what struck him is that actually they weren't having a happy life. I think he said about 2 out of 5 said that they were happy. So it got him thinking about, you know, if you've got all of this privilege, this wealth, this wonderful life, why are you not happy? And from that, he recognised there were 5 key questions that help people to identify a formulation for life. And if they followed them, that indeed it were measurably improved. Yeah, so this is a science piece. You can Google Adam and you can look at his work, you can see his TED Talks. So my thinking was, could this help us as learning disability nurses? 5 questions are really straightforward and simple. And as I'm going through them, I'd love for you to just think what your answer would be in your mind. I'm not asking you to shout it out, but just in your mind, what would you answer to these questions? Who are you? Yeah? Now, some mornings we all get up, don't we, and we think, who am I and where am I? Where am I? You know, I spend that much time on the road that I sometimes wonder where I've woken up. But you know, it's quite a deep thing to think about. Who are you? Who are you? And if you ask the people you serve, who are you? What might they say? What do you do? And if you're thinking about how do I say what I do, because there's this chestnut, isn't there, about learning disability nurses, we don't know what they do. I've had a career in that and all in 35 years. What I would say to you, if you're struggling with that, is if I asked you to teach something or do something, what is it that you feel really confident to do? What is it? What's the thing that if I said, would you do this for me? You'd go, yeah, feel really confident to do that or to teach that. Yeah? And there'll be something in all your minds about what that is. Who'd you do it for? I know I do it for. I do it for the people that we serve and their families. I'm a bit old-fashioned in terms of service. I believe my 35 years have been in service to people and families. That's my personal value base, if you like. But who do you do it for? Now, you're all in different roles. So some of you know, your primary contact might be students, or, you know, you might be working with people on a day-to-day basis. You might be working with families or children, but who do you do it for? What do they want or need? Now, that, for me, is a killer question. Do we deliver what people want, or do we deliver what we think they want or need? And that is always a killer question for me. Do we ask, do we listen, and do we respond? And what do they get out of it? What do they get out of our offer to them? And again, that's a really important one for me, because I've always said that our longevity as a profession will much depend on that. The day that people and families say we can do it on our own now is the day that we should rightly and properly go. Yeah? That day's not come. In fact, you will know that certainly we've had a number of deaths recently, young people with learning disabilities, and it's reignited a conversation about the lack of learning disability nurses and what's required. Yeah? Why are these questions powerful? Psychologically, why are they powerful? This person is really I'm very, very fond of. Years ago, I worked for the Value and People team, and this woman's Jean Wilson, the woman with the red hair, and this is her daughter, Victoria. And some of the most happiest people I've ever met. And when I applied these questions, if I were in Jean's shoes, I know she would answer these very straightforwardly, because parents often have a clarity of understanding about what they do, what they offer, and what their person needs and wants from them. And I think there's a lot to learn from that. But the questions force you to be external facing. Only 2 are about you. Who are you? Yeah? So, and people who serve others are generally happier. Now, that's scientific. They are generally happier. That's not me just saying that because it all fits in nicely. They are generally happier. And there's some famous people who served others. I never see these people miserable. I never see these people go, oh, woe is me, oh, my life's rubbish, boring, terrible. You know, and look at what they say about serving people. This message has been out there a long, long time. What's great now is that people are starting to research it and study it. But I'll let you read those quotes. But, you know, these are all people who are clear, you know, an only life, you know, only a life lived in service to others is worth living. So, what if we had a formulation for the purpose of learning disability nursing? Yeah? What if we had one? What would that look like? Yeah? And these are just my suggestions. I'd love if it generated a conversation on social media about what that would be. I would love to hear from you. We don't have time today to garner views now, but you know, you're all got, well, I hope you're all on Twitter. And if you're not, Sally Wilson's somewhere in this room and she will make you. Go on Twitter at lunchtime if you are not already, you know, have a Twitter account. So, what if we had a formulation for the purpose? So let's think about it as learning disability nurses. Who are you? I think this picture, you'll have seen this loads of times, but I think it's about us as a group of nurses. We punch way above our weight. We are not diminished by our size. We look at ourselves and our reflection, you know, and I see in you a group of people, you know, who are lions. And I have used this phrase before, you know, about, you know, the vibe of your tribe and, you know, stay with people who are on the same mission as you. I think that's really important. But yeah, we're a small branch of nursing. When we look in that mirror, we are beyond measure, really. So, think about these questions as learning disability nurses. What do you feel confident to deliver, facilitate or teach? Think about that in your mind. And I'd just give you some suggestions. Health interventions. We should never shy away from the fact that we deliver treatment. You know, there's been a lot of fanning about at times, aren't there, about, you know, empowering and advocating, like we're like scared to say, I treat people. And we do. We do. And lots of you here will be therapists, you'll be nursing in a clinical way every day, you know, in all sorts of roles. We should never shy away from that. That's what we do, nurse is nurse. Some of you might be very focused on doing behavioural interventions, and there's been a rise in the number of community teams for supporting people out of hospital. Lots of people in social care deliver loads of life skills work. Lots of learning disability nurses work in social care, you know. So they might not be treating people, but they're supporting people to learn life skills. Lots of learning disability nurses do what I call care and support every day. I'm proud to be able to help somebody with their bathing and dressing and eating and all of them things that we all have to do every day. That's a really important thing that we do. And this last one, I couldn't work out how to sum it up. But it's that thing about, in lots of ways, we help the people that we serve to acquire or preserve their human, legal and civil rights. And we do that every day, under the Mental Health Act, under DOLS, under capacity. All those every day. We see injustice, we fight for it, we get people health access when they might not get on a surgery list because a bit of prejudice about whether it's worth doing it or not. So that's sort of in that sentence. I couldn't think of craft a better sentence to cover that. And what do you do for them? So you were thinking about yourself, what do you do for them? Again, lots of ways we do that. So in our formulation for learning disability nursing, what we do is in lots of ways and lots of environments. So some work with children, some work with adults. Some of you do it in general hospitals as acute liaison nurses. Some people, you know, working to support people with the general health care and getting to see a GP. And some people, like this top right-hand corner, are delivering health interventions and actually caring for somebody in a hands-on, meaningful way. So what do they want to need? All I can say about this is just keep asking, because it'll change. What Ruth said this morning about looking back and thinking, do the best that you can. So I'll get the paraphrase wrong, but do the best that you can, and you know, when you know better, do better. That's a bit like this for me. You know, when I asked people 35 years ago, it was a population that were generally acquiescent, who lived in an institute, who had no life experience. Many had been there from being children. So when you said something like, you know, how can I help you, what would you need? You know, the frame of reference were minute, and their permission to ask were almost non-existent. So as I've gone through 3 decades, the ask is getting better and louder and clearer. You know, and if I ask the same question of the people, you know, John and Lorraine's daughter Charlotte, I'd get a very different response, because she would know what she's entitled to, and she would tell us loud and clear in her own way. You'll work out what your unique contribution is. That's a really important one, because we're a diminished number. It's really, really important that whatever team we're working in, and most people work in a multi-professional environment, that you're really clear about what you bring to that team, because we haven't got time to be faffing about doing other people's jobs. So the thing that you have to remember, and how I do this in my mind, this always helps me when I think about it. I think if we're all sitting around this table at some meeting, if I didn't turn up, what would be the one thing that they could not do? What would be missing? What would be the thing that people who we serve and their families would not get by my absence? Yeah? And I know there's lots of things that we share with other professions, but to be honest, we are a precious resource. You know, if I don't want to be a social worker, I would have been one. You know, so, or a physio or an OT or any of them things. But I like what I do. You know, and they, for a minute, wouldn't do what we do. They don't take jobs off us. Little tasks here and there. You know, we've got ever-expanding knickers, haven't we, in learning disability nursing? You know, oh yeah, I'll take that job from you. Yeah, oh, yeah, we can do that. Yeah, all right. Yeah, who's going to do that? We all look around the room, don't we? Learning disability nurse, like that 5 minutes later. Yeah, all right, it'll be me. You know, because we have to fill silence at meeting, don't we? We can't bear it that nobody's going to do it. So, you know, we've got enough's enough now. Enough's enough. We've got to be really clear to commissioners that the people we serve and their families are still experiencing the most dreadful discrimination, health inequalities, living with a, you know, liberty deprived, the human rights infringed. You know, we need every hour of every day that we can give to that agenda. And people and families should be able to take what they need. So we should be available. We shouldn't be, again, you know, dodging the bullet in terms of giving them a space to ask us for something different or controversial. We should, you know, if you like, exude accessibility to them. You can kind of ask me anything you like. So how do they change? So in your head, I hope you're thinking now, what do they get out of what I give? Yeah? These are just some of the things that I know you here in this room, what they get out of it from you individually. Some of you, you know, ensure that people get improved health and sense of wellness. Some of you are supporting them and student nurses or whoever to acquire skills, knowledge and confidence. I think we make people feel valued when we work at our best. Them and their families. I hope that's what we do. That's my observation. Empowered. Lots of us are really good at helping people speak up for themselves. You know, you don't need me. I'll just be in the room at the back if you need me. But, you know, I'm sure you can do it on your own. We help people to feel safe. Never underestimate that. If you ask people with learning disabilities and their families, time and again, the need to feel safe will come up in the top 3. Always. And why wouldn't it? You know, good old Maslow from donkeys years ago put safety into really clear as a very primary need, very early need. And they need to feel supported. So, what do you get out of it? So some of these people here, and I couldn't fit enough people on, to be fair, on one slide. But what I've tried to do is to put a smattering of people who I know if they were here now at the side of me would say they've had a fantastic, or getting still a fantastic career out of this. And because I know from the way that they are, the way that they are in the room when I engage with them, these are not people who go around going, oh, I can't wait till I retire, I hate my job, you know. These are people, actually, quite a lot of them, other than 1 or 2 of my contemporaries, and, you know, but they're not jaded. So I suppose what I want to say to you is serving others is not about, you know, you being this wonderful model person who you know, unselfishly, you get loads back, don't you? How many of you sit and think, what a blooming day I've had today, how fantastic. I could be packing beans in a factory somewhere. And there'll be a time in your career when you should take credit, because it will happen, where you have saved somebody's life. It will happen. So I'm sure you all know these faces, but, you know, personal heroes. So then, I want to just finish with a common formulation for life. And something that was mentioned earlier about networking, Ruth mentioned this, and about allies. We are small in number. We need all the friends we can get. And we need people who seem to have cracked this formulation business without maybe knowing it around us. We don't want atmosphere suckers, do we, hanging around us? We don't want people who go, oh, well, you know, we'll not exist in 5 years. What's the point, you know? I just can't be bothered with it. So these are people, again, many missing, but these are people who I would, you know, if I could, carry around in my handbag all day with me, just to kind of fill me with joy about this, because these are people who I believe have worked out this formulation. And I am going to pick them out. So if you don't know, the top right for you is Gavin Harding, who I've known probably 20 years now, who is a man with learning disabilities, works for NHSE now at the moment, you know, been honoured and with the honour system, and was Mayor of Selby, which is a town in Yorkshire. You know, Gavin works to serve. He serves others. He fights for others. He fights for people like him who've been labelled as challenging in the past. And from that, you can see that every minute counts for him and his life is full. Scott Watkins is here today. I'm sure he must have been to his stall by now. If you've not, then you need to go. Again, that man works harder than probably anybody I know at this point in time. That man must cover the UK, honest to God. I watch him in the morning on Facebook with his little thing telling you where he's catching a flight from and going to, or catching a train and go. That man works so hard, but never see him without energy or enthusiasm, or, you know, he gets back what he gives. Hayley, and I'm not going to even attempt to pronounce her surname, is the mother of Natty, who again you'll have heard speak at this conference, another woman who lives to serve. You'll see Robert Tomarat at the back of that there. That little, where everybody's going like that, that's Robert serving in Nepal, yeah. You know, and then we've got the lovely Sarah, who does lots of stuff around Simple Stuff Works, you know, pastoral care. Mix It, you all know. And the lovely Ben Thomas, who has been the best ally that we could have wished for, if you like, in the centre, steering ministers and the Department of Health for many a year. A lot more patience than I've ever had and a lot more skill than I had when I were at the department. But making sure that learning disability nursing is not forgotten. When that portfolio went into one, mental health and learning disability, that job doubled. But we did not fall off the table in the way that we did in trusts. In many, many trusts, the Director of Nursing took on Director of Nursing and learning disabilities, and really, you might as well just put mental health because, you know, we were never hardly mentioned and nobody really knew what we did. So that wasn't so, and we should harness these people and you know, support them and look at their passion for life. And then people who've come in to join us who don't have any kind of background in health and social care, you know, in a kind of delivery way. And Rebecca, take a bow, Rebecca Hill, who has organised this for us today, who has actually done what I call the slog work behind the scenes, booking people on, fannying about with the IT and running up and down the staircase and panicking and making sure you all got where you needed to be and all of that. These people are contributing because they've worked out their formulation for life for free because they care. They care about the people that we serve and their families. And they care about us. These people on this slide care about us. They don't have to be involved in our agenda. Not, you know, none of those people there are learning disability nurses. So, to finish, your 5 questions. So if you've not already thought them through, here you go again. Who are you? What do you do? What do you feel supremely confident to teach or perform? Who do you do it for? What do these people want or need? What do they get out of it? I'd love for you to try that with the staff that you work with. There's a formulation for their work and their workload. And then my last message really is about, I've got a little one at the end. You'll have worked out by now that what I'm talking about bears no resemblance to the title in the brochure. And that's because, and I'll tell you why when we get to the last slide, it will become clear. So, a message that was said to me years and years ago, there's a guru, a person-centered playing called Michael Smull from the States. Now, in my life, I've been honoured to spend time with people like him and John O'Brien and others. And I remember Michael saying at a workshop that we need to create, wherever we go, dissatisfaction because change does not occur when people are satisfied. Yeah? It will not occur. You only change something if it's not right or it's broken or, you know, it's not good enough. So we need to create dissatisfaction. Never be afraid to be the grit because you will get an oyster. Cause trouble wherever you can. It's worked for me for 35 years. So, serious message. This is why I changed the slide. As we speak today, there is an inquest in York. And I wish I could be there, but I can't because I know the family involved very personally. This young man is Danny Tozer. He's a man who died an unexpected death. I think he was early 20s. We need to be engaged, political, knowledgeable, learning from all sources, including these deaths. There's much to learn from these inquests. There is a woman called George Julian who tweets the inquest literally live. And I can't point you to a more contemporary and interesting learning resource at the minute. It is so unique and innovative. And, you know, if you read it, all life is there. The inequalities that people face, the way that families are treated, the way that care staff are trained or not trained, all life is there. And George has also tweeted about the death, the coroner's inquest of Richard Handley, the young man that died of constipation. She tweeted the inquest of Conor Sparrowhawk, the young man who drowned in a bath. I can only ask, you know, I can't compel you, but I would certainly recommend you to follow those Twitter feeds, and that's the one that's on today.
Sorry, can you just repeat her name again? It's @George Julian.
What you need is if you go to @Tozer Inquest, that's where the live tweeting is. You will then be able to connect to George, but she puts it on that Twitter feed. That's the one you need to look at. I just want to just say about that in the, you know, I don't know what the outcome of this particular inquest will be. Nobody knows until it's concluded. But we know, don't we, for everyone that there's an inquest, there's dozens more that there never is. deaths that we all know people's quietly slipped away and nobody, you know, you know, understood, made a fuss, brought it up. Some of the most powerful things we can do at this point in time is to stand with Mix-It when they say enough's enough, and to put our shoulder behind the wheel of that and to support people who are literally shining a light in dark corners. Thank you.